Hey, welcome everybody to Wizards Outlook. Y'all know that long West Coast trip yearly about this time in January. So you guys are familiar with this. I know we spoke last night. I misspoke. Hey, we are doing Wizards Outlook this morning because that is when the game technically ended. That said, Cardell, we saw Washington, follow a script that we've been familiar with. You know, they got behind in the game quite early. We watched them rally back, big third quarter for them to get back into the game. And then the Clippers, being the veteran team that they are, they held Washington off to make sure that they left. They got to go home and sleep in their beds with a W, and Washington remains winless in the first two games of this road trip. But I want to get your thoughts on Washington's, uh, late rally in the second half, but the hole was too deep for them to climb out of.
Yeah, man. The first quarter, James Harden, he just set the tone. He just torched them. Doing doing what he does. Manipulating pick and roll coverages. You know, preying on the Wizards drop coverage. Facility, and when they did go over the top, he found open guys, open shooters or whatnot. He just controlled the game and he set the tone, man. He had 13, 4, and 3 in the first quarter. You know what I mean? That's a quality half for most players. Hell, 3 quarters for a lot of players in the league. He went to work and it was efficient 50, 40, 50, 40, 100, shooting splits in that first quarter. And that, that just set the tone right there, 37-22. Now, to the credit, the Wizards fought back, for the most part. But with that being said, when they fall back, um, James had it got everybody going. You know what I mean? And then that's when Kawhi woke up and just pretty much proceeded to do what Kawhi does. He didn't shoot the ball too efficiently from the field overall, but he did from deep. He was 7-11 for 3-point range and made up for his 9-22 overall. 4 assists, 3 rebounds, and that's why he finished with 33, man. And he got to the free throw line 8-8. What did we say in the pregame? You got to keep them off the line. They make their free throws. They didn't miss a single free throw all night. Everybody was perfect. When the last time you seen that from an NBA team where everybody was perfect? 27-27. Um, it, it's hard to beat a team, man, when they shooting that efficient, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you look. They shot 47% from the field, 37% from deep, and 100% from the free throw line. You didn't take away nothing. Nothing was difficult, and that's why they're able to, pull out the win despite the Wizards rallying back. Keyshawn obviously motivated. I'm pretty sure he grew up looking at Kawhi. Um, he's motivated, had a good game, 23, 5, and 4. 9 to 15 from the field. But all in all, man, Middleton had a good game. Like their front court was steady, but Sarr had a rough night, which I kind of anticipated. He still got to get stronger. It's tough dealing with stronger, bigger bigs for him still. And and the thing is, um, he didn't even deal with Zubac. He dealt with Brook Lopez. Zubac got the night off, and the older Brook Lopez took it to him. And Brook Lopez still a quality defender. He didn't have the most amazing numbers, 11-4, but he kept Alex Sarr in check. I think you got to understand the Nicholas Batum got on him, made him work, and the young kid who blew up at the combine, the G League combine, and the combine out of Penn State, Yannick Conan Niederhausen, super athletic, big man, 6'11". Man, he came out the bench at 16-5, 6 points, 5 rebounds, with 7-7 shooting in 22 minutes. Hell of a lob threat. Had 2 blocks, rim protector. He got immense potential. That's why he came. I wouldn't say he came out of nowhere, but he blew up really quickly over the pre-draft season last spring to be drafted, man. And Jordan Miller, local product, had 11 points and 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Started his career. George Mason finished at Miami. Played high school ball in Virginia. You know what I mean? So he was 5 or 10 from the field, did his thing. You know what I mean? And the reserves, I think they were huge in this game. They outplayed, they did their thing, like bench points. Washington had the edge, but that's because they went deeper into their bench. I think the Clippers only played about 9 players, and they all chipped in and contributed, and they were efficient, and they held the Wizards at bay. So, um, Even though Alisar had a rough night, like when Marvin Bagley brought 15 and 11. You know what I mean? He kind of, soothed the blow of the production and of Lopez more so defensively, not offensively. But all in all, man, the efficiency, the lack of efficiency, especially from 3 point range, ended up being the difference, and the free throw line. By the way, the Clippers was perfect, and then how the Clippers shot 38%, and the Wizards shot 26% from deep. I mean, basically 38%, 37.8 for the Clippers, and 26% from deep for the Wizards, and that ended up being the difference in the game, man. You know, they didn't really Wizards didn't take anything away defensively, and if you don't do that against a veteran-led team that still playing, maybe not playing at the level, the MVP level that they once did, but still playing at a reasonably high level um, on the road, this usually is going to be the result. You got to bring defense, and they didn't bring it good enough.
Yeah, like you said, we also saw the absence of Star with him getting ejected in this one. Um, the luxury the Clippers have is Zubac is out. Brook Lopez is Brook Lopez. And we've seen Brook Lopez kind of change his game throughout his career, whatnot. But, there's times I think you, Ray, mentioned during the year where, Washington struggles to control games. Um, LA has one of the league's better players in doing so. And James, like what you said earlier, him having that line in the first quarter is absurd. That's a good half. For some folks, that's a quality game. That is a quality start. Um, to do that in a quarter, yeah, that's how you can win a game. The other thing is, if he did that in a quarter, that means if you go down in a hole, they also have the veteran leaderships where that's why they're able to, when you fought back like that, close the gap to just create separation again. Because, like you said, they Washington wasn't able to take anything away. Um, and I'm still stuck on a 27 from 27 from the line. You said during pregame, keep them folks off the line. 27 of 27. Right? You fouled them, they made you pay. Any type of silly foul, anything you did that led them to get into the line, they made you pay. But yeah, for the Clippers, solid win. Watching it was good, like you said, to see them fight back. But you can't afford those things. You're just not good enough to afford. You you're not good enough where all three of those boxes go unchecked and you're gonna come out. You're gonna survive the game. You can't live like that. And kudos to Bagley for getting a double double off the bench, but you needed both your bigs in this one, regardless if Zubac was playing or not, because again, they got 27 free throws. James, even in this stage, he's going to get to where he needs to get to facilitate and score. He's getting to the lane, hitting that runner time and time again, and opening things up. You mentioned young fella Niederhauser. I know we'll get to him. I'm sure we'll get to X Factor and other things for player of the game, but that was a really really nice outing from him. And we saw him just do the simple things and led to him playing a big role for his team.
Absolutely, man, and you know, you know, like you really didn't get too much production from your backcourt, man. Trey had 10, 4, 10. Bilal, 3 got banged up 1-on-1. He got banged up, that hurt them. They needed help for Kawhi, and a lot of players, honestly, James and Kawhi probably switching between both. But then when Bub came in, Bub 1 of 11, man. 4 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, but a tough night for him. Um, Will Riley just Mister finds a way, 12 points, 4 of 7. Shep Penny near his usual double double. It was guys that were consistent, but it just wasn't enough. They weren't efficient enough, especially in the backcourt. Um, James ended up shooting 5 of 17. He didn't, but he got to the free throw line. Like I said, part of being a good defender is being disciplined. You got to keep them off the free throw line. It's not enough just to move your feet and get at them. Then they throw a move at you, pump fake or something, and then you coming down on them and all that. They still got you. They still get generating points off this possession. You got to be able to defend without fouling. And then when Wizards didn't do that, man, I think they had about looking. They had 1, 2, 3, and shoot, they had 3 players with four fouls. Couple players with 2. The rest of them didn't have none, which shows you that's bad too. You can finish a game, you get significant minutes. You don't have any fouls, and that means you just not you not being physical enough. I can one or two, cool. Now 4, 5, 6, obviously that's bad, but dang, you ain't getting one foul. That means they're not feeling you, and
Yeah,
problem and stuff as well. You gotta have a nice little medium, man. You gotta make them feel you, but not too much, because obviously you're gonna foul out. But they gotta feel you, and they didn't feel the Wizards enough, and that's why we got the results we got.
up next for Washington, they have the back-to-back. The closest trip is Sacramento and then Denver. Um, Back-to-back, and we'll see how that goes. But as always, player to game.
Man, shoot, guess you gotta give it to Mr. Kawhi. 33, 4 and 3. I mean, bombed them from 3, 7 of 11, 63% from deep, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. Man, made more than made up for his 40% from the field overall.
Yeah, 7-11 from deep is nuts. And again, the team didn't miss from the free throw line. And the timing of some of those baskets too, after we saw Washington mount that rally in the third quarter. And, those threes are a great way to just say thanks for everything. Well, we'll see you guys next time. X
Mm-hmm.
Factor.
Local guy, Jordan Miller, 11, 10 and 5, 33 minutes, 5 of 10 from the field. One turnover, plus 21, man. He did his thing.
Yeah, for me, I had him I pulled one of the things where you guys combined the names. I thought Niederhauser and Miller was big. Were big for the Clippers. Them together, as you mentioned, Washington going deep into their bench, they were just more impactful in their minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, where if when you have James and Kawhi both being rather inefficient for what they normally do, for those two guys to step in like that that made it perfectly fine. You need folks to step up, and they both did in big ways. Niederhauser 16, 5, 2 blocks. Miller 11, 10, and 5. Dude, what else? What else can you ask for? And again, we know the Clippers one of the oldest teams in the league. You youngsters come in and have impactful performances. That goes a long way because if you do that stuff, that means for an older team, they get a little bit more rest during the game while you guys are producing.
And one last point that really sums up this game. We said they were older. I think the Clippers are like one of the worst teams in pace in the league. If look it up real quick. Yeah, they're 28th in pace, 95.9. They are not looking to run. Fast break points, Clippers 26 to the Wizards 12.
Yes.
So they got beat at their own game by an older team. And that goes back to what you were saying about Harden and Kawhi to a certain extent, knowing how to control the game and make the game go at their pace. But yeah, fast break points, they outscored them 26 to 12. And that was supposed to be an advantage for the Wizards to be able to try to win this game.
Again, they have a back-to-back to end this road trip, so we'll check in with you guys for pregame tomorrow before they take on Sacramento. I think that's a little bit of an earlier start time, about 30 minutes or so. So we look forward to talking to you guys tomorrow night as the Wizards take on the Sacramento Kings.